Welcome to a special edition of One-on-One, featuring KidsPeace Family Resource Specialist Paul Price, interviewed by reporter Eric Chicatano. This video is part of a series of stories the Daily Item will begin publishing on Sunday, focused on foster care across Pennsylvania.
Hey, we're back on the lot at Sunbury Motors Kia on the Strip in Hummel's Wharf. It's their first annual Upgrade Your Trade event. You know you're ready for an upgrade, and now's the best time here at Sunbury Motors Kia. SMC is making it easier than ever with above market value for your trade and 0% financing for up to 75 months on 2018 Kia Fortes, Optimus, Sportages, and Serenos. There's 0% for 66 months on 2018 Kia Souls and Sedonas, and 0% for 60 months on 2018 Kia Rios and Neros. Plus, every Kia comes with the industry-leading 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. You upgrade your phone, your computer, your TV. Heck, the other day I heard somebody say they wanted to upgrade their spouse. Don't miss the first annual Upgrade Your Trade event. See you here at Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf.
Financing offers available to qualified buyers through KMF in lieu of rebates. Offers expire 4/30/18. Excludes Kia Stinger and Cadenza. Warranty is a limited powertrain warranty. For details, see retailer and go to kia.com.
Welcome to One-on-One. My name is Eric Chicatano. I'm a reporter with the Daily Item. Our guest today is Paul Price, Family Resource Specialist with KidsPeace. Paul, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
KidsPeace operates an office in Danville, of course, and among its services is foster care.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about the foster care service through KidsPeace?
Yeah, sure. So the foster care system, just to explain kind of in general kind of how it works, is we're a nonprofit, private organization where counties in the area, and it's a lot of people think foster care deals with far away, but no, we deal with local counties in our area. So like, for example, we deal with Columbia County, Snyder County, Northumberland County, Lycoming County, and sometimes as far away as Schuylkill County. But in general, like, those counties will remove a kid for various reasons, and when they do, they'll call private agencies, especially if they don't have any foster homes of their own. They'll call us as a private agency and say, we have a kid that's this age with these issues, and can you find a home for them? And then pretty much that's the way it works. Then we reach out to our homes that are willing for that specific age group, and once we find a home that has that wants that preference, then we give them a call, and they kind of make the decision whether or not they want to have that child or not.
And then, about how many available homes does KidsPeace have out of the Danville office?
Out of the Danville office, we have 30 homes total right now.
And you're pretty full, right?
Yes. Most of our homes right now are full. I would say about 24, 25 of our homes are full, in the sense that they have kids already and they just can't take anymore, or maybe they are in the process of adoption. And it could be various reasons, but in general, we have about 24 or 25 that are like, we can't even call them because they don't have room or whatever reason.
So how great is the need for new foster families?
There is definitely a great need for foster homes, and I would suggest we do have certain areas where we do have needs, but I would say across the board, whatever your preference is in age, you need families of all types to fill the need we got, and we've gotten various different age groups, genders, race, all kinds of different stuff. Where the more open you are, the easier it is.
And to kind of underscore the need, how often does KidsPeace find itself turning down the referrals they're getting?
Quite often, especially I think the referrals we turn down probably the most often are the teenage group. The teenage group is by far has always been one of our greatest needs in families that we need for them to take in, and that is probably the referrals we get the most where we have to turn away. And then once that does happen, they get into very sad situations of either group homes or residential facilities if they can't find a foster home, which
So what are some of the misconceptions that people have about caring for a foster teen?
A lot of the misconceptions is they're very violent, or they're aggressive, or they're just too much to handle, and that's the typical response I get with a lot of I don't want to deal with teenagers. But in general, it's not really that severe. A lot of the kids that have the severe issues that a lot of people think end up going to either a juvenile detention center, or they end up going to more severe restriction settings, or like juvenile detention centers and things like that. So the kids we get in foster care, the teenagers, are very typical teenage behaviors that you would expect a teenager to display, which would be the rebellious part, them talking back, being defiant, rebellious, and that's kind of part of the teenage phase. But I wouldn't say it would be anything that no parent couldn't handle. Some of the kids do bring their own issues, then that does come up sometimes with a lot of the self-harm or anxiety issues, depression. I would say those are more of the common things you would have to deal with a foster teen compared to them being outright aggressive towards you or other people. I just don't see that as a very common thing. It's more them internalizing that we have a problem dealing with and them trying to hurt themselves and stuff. That's more likely to happen than them hurting you or your family.
Now, you told me before, placements has kind of evolved through your office in that you're seeing a lot more children from the ages of newborn up to like 5 years old.
Yes. Yeah, that has not always been the case, but if we're just looking within the past year, we have gotten more placements below the age of 5 than I've seen in a very, very long time. Especially like, for example, babies and newborns are typically a rarity. It's just, they're not very common. And we've placed at least 4 or 5 babies within the past year. So it's very unusual for us
to. How has the opioid crisis factored into this shift?
I mean, most of the typical cases we get are the parents are on some kind of drug issue. The drugs vary, obviously, opiates, meth, heroin, cocaine, all kinds of different drugs. It ranges, but we're seeing the drug issue definitely factoring into foster care. And, a lot of the kids are being taken because the parents are testing positive to drugs, especially the newborns. The biggest reason why they're being taken is the children are being born addicted to some drug, which then leads them to immediately being taken from the hospital and stuff. So which leads then to placements like what we're seeing now. So that happens quite a bit, and it's because of the drug issues.
Do the addiction issues does it make it harder to find a placement?
Sometimes. I do get some families, and it's not always. Sometimes I get families where they don't want children with any kind of issues or any drug-related issues, which, it's I got to be realistic with them and tell them, like, there's a chance that they're involved in drugs in some kind of way. So you have to kind of expect that, just because that's probably one of the top reasons why children are taken from their family is because of drug-related issues. That is by far the top reason. So, I mean, it's, some families are picky, and then I get other families who are very open, very welcoming of that, and they have we've had doctors and nurses and stuff who have experience with that kind of stuff, and they are open to working with children like that. And they're the families that they're good to see, that are very open to, even families that aren't experienced. It's good to see that they're open to even working through it and giving advice, and definitely want trainings and advice, and they're willing to work through it to help the child.
We're going to take a break, and we'll be back with more from Paul Price of KidsPeace.
Hey, we're back on the lot at Sunbury Motors Kia on the Strip in Hummel's Wharf. It's their first annual Upgrade Your Trade event. You're ready for an upgrade, and now's the best time here at Sunbury Motors Kia. SMC is making it easier than ever with above-market value for your trade and 0% financing for up to 75 months on 2018 Kia Fortes, Optimus, Sportages, and Serenos. There's 0% for 66 months on 2018 Kia Souls and Sedonas, and 0% for 60 months on 2018 Kia Rios and Neros. Plus, every Kia comes with the industry-leading 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. You upgrade your phone, your computer, your TV. Heck, the other day I heard somebody say they wanted to upgrade their spouse. Don't miss the first annual Upgrade Your Trade event.
I wanna see you in a Kia. Sunbury Motors Kia.
See you here at Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf.
Financing offers available to qualified buyers through KMF in lieu of rebates. Offers expire 4/30/18. Excludes Kia Stinger and Cadenza. Warranty is a limited powertrain warranty. For details, see retailer or go to kia.com.
Welcome back to One-on-One. My name is Eric Chicatano, reporter with the Daily Item. Once again, we're here with Paul Price of KidsPeace. Paul, you were telling me you had 42 total children in placement last year.
Yes.
Is that number high for KidsPeace?
I would say last year that was kind of high, and I saw numbers kind of spiked over the summer, which typically they don't. They go down in the summer instead of go up. So last year definitely was a very unusual year, and I would say like our number was 42. It's closer probably to 25 to 30 would be a typical year. So it's definitely a lot higher than it usually is.
And to kind of put this in context for our viewers, KidsPeace is hardly the only adoption agency in
No,
the Valley.
no, there's several other agencies. Yeah, and they all do very similar things that we do. I like to think we do more supportives, and we are a little bit more, picky about which families we want to be in. I think our standards are a little bit higher. I would like to think so.
And children
compared
are
to some.
placed in homes, not just through the private agencies like yourself, but also direct through Children and Youth, correct?
Yeah, so sometimes, not every county, but some counties have their own foster homes that they approve. And they'll try to obviously seek their own homes first, to place kids with their own homes, keep it in-house. But if that doesn't work out, then they reach out to other private agencies. And then you have counties that don't have any homes. They're always calling a different agency, and they just don't approve their own. They just don't have somebody to do that, or they don't pay people to do that.
And it's also important to keep in mind all the agencies like yours and all the children and youth agencies, they're going through the same thing. They're turning down referrals as well.
Yeah. We have agencies that do exactly what we do, and they go through the same problems we do, where they get a call for a teenager that may be difficult, or a teenager that is just a teenager, and they just don't have families open to that, and it leads to all the agencies saying no, which then leads to the county needing a home of some kind. They need to put the kids somewhere, which leads to group homes or residential facilities when there is no other options.
KidsPeace has averaged about 30 children in placement on any given day.
Yeah.
What's the average length of stay, roughly?
I would say at least 6 months. But the case varies so much. And we have some kids that never go home and get adopted, and then we get some kids that go home sooner than 6 months. But I would say definitely at least 6 months, I would say. But most of our kids that we have now have been in for about a year. So, I would say it could definitely be. It's not, a lot of people think it's very short term, like 30 days. Like, I've rarely come across cases where it only lasts like 30 days. Mm-hmm. Typically, it's definitely a long term kind of situation. And then to give you a perspective, the courts usually give the parents 15 to 22 months to try to get their children back. So that's usually the court's time frame to give the parents. So typically the kids could be there that long. But let's say the parents do what they need to do, then the kids could go home a lot sooner than that. But the window there is usually 15 to 22 months is what the courts are supposed to go by. But that varies too.
So what are some of the basic requirements that it takes to become a foster parent in Pennsylvania?
Some of the basic requirements, a lot of families will have to go through this regardless. Again, it will go through an application process. It will go through filling out documentation,
Well, you have
all
to
the
be
backgrounds.
21 years of age. You have to be
20.
employed.
Yep, 21 years of age. You got to be employed. You have to have a vehicle of some kind, just because you're responsible for transporting the kids. And all your background checks have to be clear of any kind of violent or abusive crimes. Those are the ones that are the most important. And again, over 21, and the transportation, and also another one is you have to be financially stable, and that usually is another big one where I'm not sure if that's a state standard. That's kind of our whole philosophy. So with the financial stability, you can't be on any kind of public assistance, food stamps, cash assistance, or housing assistance, and that's one of our stipulations, where if you have any of that, it's pretty much a no. We don't even start with you. We don't even go through anything else. I tell you that's an issue, and pretty much there's no moving past that
Now,
point.
financial stability doesn't necessarily mean you have to be wealthy by anyone's
No.
standards.
No, we have families all ranges of lower class, middle class, upper class, and it's more about being financially stable, and that's one of our requirements we consider. Obviously, if you're struggling to get by and it's just you and your wife, or it's just a small home, obviously adding another child is not going to help you financially by putting another mouth to feed. So again, you just need to be financially stable, not necessarily have to have a certain amount of money, just need to show that you have stability in your income, and that you're not going to struggle getting by when we place a kid, because then that doesn't hurt. That doesn't help anybody, the child, the family, or us as a company. If you're struggling to get by and then we're throwing kids at you to take in, it's just not going to work all around.
I know that a lot of people who inquire about becoming foster parents, ultimately it doesn't work out.
Yeah, like I have a lot of people that will just want to, and it's a big decision, and people will inquire about, about the program, what it takes, the requirements, what the kids are like, how's it work, and I tend to have a lot of people where they'll ask me those questions, and then they'll take years to think about it. Like, so I have had, like, recently I've had somebody who said she was inquiring about foster care for 2 years before making any official step to meet with me in the home to go over applications. She took a lot and that's very typical with a lot of families and a lot of people who are interested, where they will take a very long time to actually proceed forward. So I'll get the calls of where, just give me information. What's this like? What's this all about? So I'll get a lot of calls like that where we're not really going anywhere, but we're just talking about it. And then, sometimes I meet people and give them the application. I never hear from them again,
Well,
too.
if they
So
do choose to go forward, on average, how long does it take from the moment I say yes, I'm interested in filling out an application,
yeah.
to the point where you would place someone in my
Yeah. So typically, once I get the application, from that point on, it could take about 3 months. So it's not a very quick process. There's another question I usually get: how long does it take? And I tell people it could take 3 months. It could take longer. It really depends on how many families I have to meet with, what your schedule is like, and But quick, if you wanted to get done in a nice pace, I'd say 3 months would be the average and about the typical to get approved from
people
beginning
should
to
be
end.
prepared, not scared off, but prepared that it's an invasive background process.
Yes. And some people are very off-put about that because we have what we call, and no matter what agency you go with, they do some kind of home study interviews, and that's what they're called. So you're going to see that across the board with any agency you go to. It doesn't matter which one. You'll hear about the home study interviews, and those go into a very thorough, I know for us, they're very thorough into interview of your background, how you were raised, and it goes into quite a bit of detail. And some people do get uncomfortable by that, but I tell them, like, I'm not trying to do this to kind of see all the bad stuff you've done. It's okay if that's what's happened. It's not, the interviews to me aren't necessarily a reason to eliminate you. I'm not trying to eliminate you, because we need families, and if you have a troubled background, that I would say that gives you more justification to be interested in foster care, just because you have more of a relation to the kids. So the more harsh your background, the more you can relate to those kids. I know one thing happened, for example, I was interviewing a potential foster parent, and she was talking about sexual abuse issues that she had suffered at a younger age. And I told her, like, you can relate to the teenage girls more so than I could ever do. So I said that in your background, that would only help you in engaging with these foster children, because you have more relatability to them than I could ever have. And I've never suffered anything like that. So it's very hard for those kids for me to relate to those kids and get on their level when they can easily say back, you've not experienced what I've experienced. Well, that is true, but your foster parent has. And, if they wanted to reveal that, they could, and they could relate to them. They could give better insight, and it's so useful for, and that's what I look at the background checks and the interviews, and that's what they're for, to help, realize that in families of, you don't need to hide this. You can use this definitely to your advantage especially with the foster children.
So what type of supports are available to foster parents?
Yeah, for our company, I can't speak to every company, but for our company, we have a 24/7 on-call service. So if you run into trouble, I've gotten all kinds of calls on call where it's as simple as, like, my child's sick, what do I do? Okay, just go to the doctors. Like, people just not realizing, their new parents, just like, is it okay if I do this? And just helping them with that, to where it's more severe issues where, hey, this girl's hurting herself. What do I need to do? And we're there 24/7. It's on call, and we rotate on call, and we're there to help you, walk you through that situation, and helping you, kind of come out of there of, like, this is what we need to do step by. And every person on call has suffered through, all kinds of different stuff. So they're the experience there. We kind of have an idea of what we're going to do. We have a playbook basically of, this is what we're going to do if this happens. And we all have that experience in the office. So we have that. And you also have the caseworkers. There's KidsPeace caseworkers that will come out weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly, just to help with the child and help the child adjust to your home, give
That's
you
every
tips and
case.
tricks.
You
Yeah.
have a caseworker on every case.
Yeah, there's a KidsPeace caseworker on every case that helps you with the child. So obviously, the kids with like more severe issues, the caseworker will be there every week to help you with behavioral issues, get therapy, get that set up, help with the county, trying to give you idea of like what's coming up, court. This is what we're expecting, that kind of stuff, and to really help, especially the new families that are just not used to like like this is what it's typically like, or this is unusual, and the caseworkers can give them that insight. And so they're there, at the very least they're there once a month, and they could be there as most as every week, to help you, help the foster parents.
And correct me if I'm wrong, the kind of ultimate goal is either reunification or permanency, correct?
Right. Yeah. So the goal is to have some kind of permanency with the children. That could be them being reunited with their parents. It could be adoption, or it could be a kinship placement or a placement with a relative. So those three tends to be what they try to do. And the counties really are trying much better to give a more permanent solution, instead of like the kids being in foster care visiting their parents for 4 or 5 years, which it used to be like that. It really did. Mm-hmm. It used to be 5-6 years where the kids would be in foster care, and it's kind of limbo. It's kind of like they might go home, they might not. It's like it's 5 years, like it's a long time. Yeah. So now the courts are trying to get a more permanent solution. So that's why they have that 15 to 22 month window, to where then after that point they do try to seek other options, whether it be okay, they're not going home to their parents, let's try either adoption or kinship or some other kind of placement.
And foster parents have to be prepared. The ones who are interested in adoption, that's not always possible. Depending on the case. Yeah,
and I have a lot of people that they don't have any kids of their own, so they are seeking to kind of start their family, and they do try to get their hopes up of adoption. And with the reality of foster care and trying to be realistic with those families is telling them that adoption isn't always going to happen. Like, will it happen at some point with some children? Yes, that is definitely a possibility, but there's always that, unknown. You never know. And I got to tell families to be realistic that, the most likely they're going to try to reunite the kid first. That's their ultimate goal. With foster care, that's kind of the downside, is getting emotionally invested in the kid having to go home. And that is a struggle every family would face, and it is very difficult, and there's not much I can say that would clear that up. It's just a realistic part of foster care.
And another realistic part is that there is a reward in being a foster parent, and that's...
Yeah, some of the kids, that have gone away and come back and have shown great appreciation. I've had kids come back to me and say they appreciate all the help. They might not have said it to me at the time, which could be frustrating with, especially with the teenage boys I worked with, where they just don't seem very appreciative, or they're just in that state where they just kind of want to do what they want and they're not thinking of others. But then I've had kids leave a couple years later, come back and say how much they appreciated taking them to certain things, just talking with them. Same with the foster parents. So I've had foster parents who have had teenagers, and they've had kids of their own, and have invited the foster parents to their weddings, to be a part of their lives. They have children of their own now, and being a part of it, and them seeing them as a family and not necessarily as a foster parent anymore. And by far, that is very rewarding to have what is now an adult come back to you and say you made a difference in their life at that difficult point in their life. And they understood they weren't very nice at the time or not very appreciative, but they're coming back and saying that, they did appreciate it, even though they might not have shown it. But that is very rewarding.
Paul, if people were interested in getting in touch with your agency, what's the phone number? What's the web address?
Yeah, to get in touch with me at the Danville office, you can call 570-271-0590, or you can visit us at www.fostercare.com. It's a very simple website. It's where we get most of our inquiries is through the website, and that's fine too. And if you make an inquiry on the website, I'll probably end up calling you at some point. And just reaching out. And it could be, I've dealt with all kinds of people who are interested. So if you just want to know more information, more detailed information, that is fine. I talk to all kinds of people at different levels of interest. So some people are like getting ready to go and they just want to move forward, and other people just want information. And I'm happy to talk to anybody and everybody about what I do and what the company does in foster care.
Paul, thank you for your time, and thank you all for joining us. See you next time.
Hey Thank you for watching One on One. We hope you will join us this coming Thursday at noon for a new installment.